Before you get started, it's a good idea to clear out anything that might be in your way, so that way you have plenty of room to work. Got a garbage can here. There's some plungers over there I can clear out. Give me access to the screws I need to get at there in the back of the toilet seat. The tools we'll be using, you'll probably want both a flathead and a Phillips screwdriver. And the flathead, when you start out, you want to take that, and there's these little caps here, and these are covering the bolts. You want to see there's a little gap here, or a seam, where you can pry up on these, and then they'll give you access to the screws that are holding on your toilet seat. Now, these screws used to be made of brass, and that would tend to corrode, but the newer ones are all plastic, and they're a lot better because if they corrode at all, they are very difficult to remove. So all you have to do is just take your flathead screwdriver or your Phillips screwdriver if it's a Phillips head. These ones on the old seat are a flathead, and then you'll start to loosen it. Now, and then you reach to the bottom here, and you'll feel like a nut on the bottom. You want to hold that still while you turn with the screwdriver, and eventually you'll get the nut. Now that one is all the way out, and you can pull the screw out too, but like this, but it's usually easier to just leave it in there. Now I'm going to get the other one. These can be pretty long. Sometimes they can grip pretty well. They can be kind of, resistive the whole way out. Hi, Henry. He wants to help. Hopefully yours aren't like that. These ones aren't too bad. A lot of times if it's ever overflowed during the lifetime of the seat, the stuff can get stuck in those threads and make it a little more difficult to remove. Alright, now once the nuts are off, there's basically nothing holding that seat on there anymore. So all you do is just lift it off. There might be a little stiction there. This one had like a little double stick tape kind of material on it. And there it is. Your old seat is off. Now once you get the old seat off, you want to take some cleaner. Now you don't want bowl cleaner because that's a little too strong to use in areas other than the bowl itself, but just something like some hydrogen peroxide here, and just clean that area really well, just because it's good to have a clean toilet. If you have this type of seat that uses the double stick tape, try to get as much of that double stick tape off of there as you can. A little bit more peroxide solution here. It's going off pretty easily. Fairly easily removed here. Okay, Henry's helping us. Alright, so that, we use the toilet paper and throw it in the toilet. Flush it down the toilet. So that pretty much does it for the, So that does it for the removal of the old seat and all the cleanup associated with that. And you can even get underneath here and clean under there too, if you want. Actually, I think I'm going to do that. It's probably just as bad underneath here as it was above. Actually, no, it's not too bad at all under there. I'm going to clean it anyway, just to make sure. No, not bad at all. So, that pretty much does it for removing the old seat. Now, here's our nice new seat. And this one comes with some hardware and little rubber pads that go underneath here. And make sure you follow your instructions that come with your seat, because they're going to be a little different for every seat. Some of them have double stick tape here. Some of them have this rubber pad like this one does. Some of them don't have anything at all. So usually you'll have an instruction card that comes with it. If not, just try to put everything together as best you can like a jigsaw puzzle. Okay, there's our new nuts. If your old bolts, your old seat bolts are the the brass ones, you might be tempted to reuse them because, you know, it's nice brass metal hardware, you know. But I don't encourage that. I encourage you to use the new plastic bolts because these will never corrode. The old brass, if that corrodes and gets in there in the threads, you know, that's very difficult to remove. Alright, so just get it positioned in the holes and get the seat positioned where you want it on the toilet so that everything lines up. I think I'm going to put it right about there. And then it's just the opposite of the removal process of the old seat. These are Phillips head screws. So you can use your Phillips screwdriver. Actually, this one's a little too big. I'm going to go get a smaller Phillips screwdriver. I'm actually going to use this impact driver with a Phillips bit in it just because it runs down these big long screws a little more quickly. It's just the opposite of the removal process for the old seat. You just take your one nut and you put it up underneath here onto the shaft of that screw, and you just take your screwdriver and you turn that screw and you get that nut down on there. I'm not going to finish tightening with this because this is a little too much. I'm going to do the final tightening with a regular screwdriver so I don't over tighten these, because you don't want to over tighten these plastic screws because they will break. But as for just sitting on and for what they do, they're strong enough. Okay, my seat moved a little bit, so I'm going to put it back in place. When you get these all tightened up, all you need to do is close these little covers, and there you go. There's your new toilet seat. Flush it down the toilet. So that pretty much does it for the... That's pretty interesting, isn't it there, Henry?